So we had some big feelings about how I had big feelings and asked for Alyssa to help me manage my big feelings. This is a follow-up video to the feedback that I got in my last video. Quick synopsis, I asked Alyssa to address a problem that I had been doing in a different manner, which yes, does add emotional and mental labor on her. There are two main pieces I want to add here: the bigger context and implementation. Let's start with context. One thing Alyssa is really good at is listening to me. Not only that, but identifying where things are coming from, like a childlike place in my heart versus the responsible adult. What we recognized together after a discussion happened after I made that video was that there are actually multiple things that led up to me feeling that way, not just that isolated incident. One of the things that we actually identified afterwards was that there are a couple things that were getting done around the house that I was doing, and that either as I was about to do them or as I was thinking about doing it or actually doing it, she was asking me to do it. And so there was this feeling like she was project manager over these things when I was like, come on now, like I almost want credit for thinking of it. And I realized that was actually coming from a place of me not communicating enough that I was doing things. And the reason I wasn't communicating things was because I didn't want to be announcing, hey, I'm doing this, hey, I'm doing that. And realizing that I was conflating some of the videos that I'd been seeing of men being called out for doing this behavior, and that me doing it is communicating, not trying to share pride in the fact that I'm doing it. Hope that made sense. And coming back to the sink, the issue at hand, she forgot we had actually had that as a standard of care for managing the sink. So it actually did feel like a fresh request from her. And the second piece is implementation. After looking at these comments and talking with her about it, she pointed out to me that she rarely takes the coaching that I request of her. And usually when I'm doing this, it's usually because there's something that is going on inside of me that needs to be managed, which almost always turns into a much better conversation where I'm able to grow. We also both recognize that we both do a good amount of mental and emotional labor for each other so that we can grow. When either of us is being stubborn, we're pretty good at listening to each other when we need to dig up something a little bit deeper. So all in all, this might have been a no pass. Alyssa, in fact, said she wasn't planning on taking coaching, but we used me having the courage to say that for a bigger conversation. Another comment in here was that a lot of women are asking, hey, how can I go about this? And a lot of guys are saying, I don't know. I do think there's a benefit from when a guy is self-aware like myself enough to ask, hey, could you try in this other way? Because we're already headed down a path of introspection. Versus if they're just saying, I don't know, and they're just being upset and having you have to deal with it, which I think is actually a very two-way street. I think a lot of men, a lot of women do this to each other. That's a crappier situation to deal with. I appreciate these comments challenging me. Makes me grow as a husband and as a creator. And I'm actually really glad the conversation I had with Alyssa based on these comments.